morning, everybody. Good. I keep saying good morning. It's afternoon. It's 12:30 in the afternoon. But I guess I keep saying good morning because I'm usually on here every other Friday morning at 10 a.m. I will be back at 10 a.m. Friday after next. So just because I keep saying good morning, morning is whenever you say it is. Okay. And so I say that because there's a scripture that says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And I always say that morning doesn't always start at 12 midnight because, if in the spirit of transparency, I was having a kind of funky week this week. Can I be honest? Yes, the coach sometimes needs coaching, the counselor sometimes need counseling, and the consultant sometimes need to consult with somebody else. So I was having one of those kind of weeks, but if anybody knows me, I always show up for the party. Always show up for the party. So this is my morning right now because earlier at 12 midnight, I wasn't quite feeling like this. An hour ago, I wasn't quite feeling like this, but this is my morning. So I decided when my morning was going to come because guess what we're talking about today? Today, we are talking about freedom and liberation. I have a special guest that I'm going to bring in just about a couple of minutes, but let me just say this. If you didn't know, you have a right to be free and you have a right to be liberated. We just celebrated last Sunday, Juneteenth. And of course, we all know that Juneteenth was June 19th, 1885, or I'm sorry, 1865, when the slaves were officially set free. Last Friday, I was in the mall and there was a t-shirt shop that had a Juneteenth celebration t-shirt, and it had 1776 crossed out and it said 1865 because that's when my people got set free. Now, you all know I'm not a racist or anything like that, but I just like to celebrate. I like to celebrate. I'm going to celebrate 4th of July. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be away at my family reunion celebrating then, but I'm going to celebrate the 4th of July. But I also celebrated Juneteenth. I celebrate them all. I celebrate life because I have a life of freedom. So, freedom means to be exempt from external pressure or external control. Let me read that again. Freedom means exemption from external control and power to determine action without restraint. Now, we've heard so many narratives about how, Black people got held back and, that there's always a thumb on our neck or a foot on our neck and all of those kind of things. Yeah, I get it. I understand it. But guess what? I believe that freedom and liberation, which, by the way, the act of gaining right or full social and economic opportunities, that's the definition of liberation. I believe that freedom and liberation starts where? Right here. If you believe that you held down, guess what? You're right. Because as you think, you are. So, one of my partners and I were talking a couple of days ago about how much we love our life. And we decided that we would come on here today and talk to you about freedom and liberation. So, I'm going to bring LaSteiner Simpson into the studio and we're going to talk a little bit with you about freedom and liberation. This is LaSteiner Inspires. Come on, shout it out for LaSteiner Inspires. LaSteiner works with me. She is the brains behind how I look good on social media. Her and my kids, it's my son Nathan and my daughter Adia. They are my creative team. They are the magic behind all of this wonderful social media stuff. Spirit of transparency. I don't know how to do all of this stuff. They do. That's my freedom and my liberation because I said to them in a team meeting a few weeks ago that I don't have to know how to do everything. I just need to know who knows how to do it. So LaSteiner Inspire knows how to do it. She is your brand, your creative strategist extraordinaire. So for those that may be listening, if you're looking for someone who to make you look good on social media, to create all of those beautiful memes like you see on my social media pages, LaSteiner Inspires, Rock Your Rebel. She got a whole lot of different names. Rocket Rebel of Steiner Inspires is your girl. So I'm going to kick it over to her for a second and let her talk about her definition of freedom.
Baby, first of all, thank you for the introduction. Cause like I'm like, who's she talking about? Oh yeah, that's me.
We
Yeah.
sound good on paper, don't we? We always do.
Hmm. But you know the best title I love of all, daughter of the King, child of the
Absolutely.
Most High,
Yes,
favorite daughter of God. I'm just saying. I mean, you know.
I
But
get it.
my definition of freedom is the fact that I'm on here with my fro a little bit lopsided, my workout tank top on because I'm gonna go work out later, and not really caring about appearances because guess what? It's about the message. It's about what needs to be said as opposed to how I look. I did shower, y'all, though. I did wash my face and all that good stuff, so and brush my teeth. But
You did all the
um,
necessities.
all the important things. But freedom is just being who you are. Like for me, it's waking up and loving what I do, loving my life, loving just living another day and being able to just do what God has purposed me to do, created me to do without the restraints of the world system, so to speak. You know, being free and set free of the things that were keeping me bound, like my traumatic past. It's like
Mhm.
I don't want to get all deep on here, but freedom for me is just like it's. I wake up every day and I'm like, man, I really love my life. Like this is amazing. And it's not contingent on what I have in my bank account, how things are flowing in my business, whether I like my children today. Let's be honest, if you parents, we
We had
love
those
them, but
days. Yeah.
it's not circumstantial. It's I genuinely love my life. And it took a while to get to this point, but now that I'm here, I'm not feeling let nothing jeopardize that freedom that I have. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not even
No, I
myself.
get it. I was talking to someone, and I've shared this message several times, but I was talking to someone last week, and they were just saying how miserable they were, and their life wasn't right, and their marriage wasn't right, and their job wasn't right. All of those different types of things that they were saying, and I kind of busted their bubble a little bit, and I said, well, you know what? There is a common denominator in all of those
Mm,
situations.
mm, mm.
That common denominator was her. But what the other thing that I said to her was, you are looking for things and people to create your happiness. And happiness is typically associated with happenings. If something is going good in your life, you're happy. If things are going well in your life, you're happy. If you got money in your bank account, you're happy. But when the money goes away, your happiness goes away.
Mhm.
When things are not quite looking like you want them to look, your happiness goes away. And so we can't depend on happiness
No.
or happenings to create our happiness. Do you know what we need? We need to find our joy.
Yes. Yes.
Joy is not contingent upon circumstances or conditions. Joy is not contingent upon what's happening around us. Joy is contingent on the fact that we woke up another day
Yes.
to another opportunity. Not a lot of people know this, but I lost one of my brothers last week. And, he had a chronic, it was a quick but chronic illness, and he passed away last Monday. And I really thought I was okay. But you know what? For the moment, my joy was challenged, but it wasn't stolen because
Mm.
I had to remind myself that my joy is not contingent upon anything that's going on around me. Am I missing my brother? Yep, some days more than others. However, I know that I have the freedom to choose joy. And that's a choice I make every day,
Yes.
that I'm going to have joy and not just happiness. Happiness, there's nothing wrong with happiness, you all. I'm not saying there is, but you have to have joy in the midst of your happiness because that's where your true freedom comes from.
Yes,
It
indeed.
starts here, making a choice to have joy.
And that's so true. Because freedom is a choice. You can either choose to complain about what's wrong in your life, or you can change that perspective and that narrative and say, well, what's right in my life? Because most 9 times out of 10, not everything is not all going wrong. There
That's
are some
right.
things that are going right. We just have to choose to see it. We have to choose to look beyond the surface level and say, well, what's going right? And that's a perspective. That's a mindset. I It's funny because the other day, actually, I think it was the day that we talked. I was, maybe the next day, I decided to barbecue. I did an impromptu. I wanted some chicken legs. I'm like, I'm about to barbecue. I'm hungry. Like, let me barbecue before it get 1,000 degrees out here.
You sound
And
like my husband.
at 9 o'clock in the morning, I was out barbecuing, and I, pulled my laptop out of my chair, and I was doing work. And I'm like, this is such a blessing to be able to do two things I love simultaneously: barbecue so I can eat, because I love eating, and working on creative content. And so I began to, I'm working on another project for myself, and I was like typing out some stuff, and I realized like I was prophetically writing some things in the project that I was like, wait. And I was like, wow, I can share a few things what I wrote. I was like, I love my life so much that I'm able to travel the world and work from anywhere in the world and make
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z amount of dollars, right? And then when I
Hmm.
was done typing it up, I was like, I just perfectly, okay, Lord, let me co-sign that, seal that approval, because that's something I always dreamed of since I was a little child, and it's starting to slowly, come to pass. And I'm just like, oh wow. Now it didn't come in a time frame that I, had in my mind, because I, thought I would have been a quadbillionaire by now.
A quadrillionaire. I love it.
Quadbillionaire, But life happened. I got knocked back a few times, but God, He still was
But
like,
you got back up,
oh
right?
yeah.
You got back up.
I always say I had no choice. Even though we have choices, for me, I feel like if I stay down too long, I'm just gonna stay there. So my choice is that I tell myself I have no choice. I have to move forward, because if I don't, then I won't get to see the promises in my life that God has made me. And I don't know about you, but I know that I want to see everything that He has for me. And so that is another part of freedom: believing in something greater, even when around you it doesn't look like what it should.
Oh
Because how
yeah.
often do we know that we have a promise, and we know that this should be this way, but all of our circumstances are saying otherwise?
Hmm.
How hard that can be to be like, I'm gonna stick this through. That's the hardest part.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to go back to something that you said. The fact that you were able to pull out your laptop and work from anywhere in the world. See, COVID got a bad rap. Was I expecting COVID? Did I like COVID? Absolutely not. However, one thing that COVID taught us is that we know how to pivot. And I hate that word because that was like the buzzword for 2019, 2020,
Mhm.
pivot. But in other words, we learned how to do things differently and keep functioning. Yes, we had to wear the mask. We had to wash our hands a gazillion times. What'd you say? A quadrillion times, whatever you said. But we should have been doing that anyway. I'm just saying.
Hmm.
I'm just saying.
Hmm.
But we should have been doing that anyway. However, one thing it taught us is that we do not have to be stationary in order to do the work that we were assigned to do. Many of our companies, mine included, have gone global as a result of having to be in front of the computer all the time. And so, self-care has been my thing. I was on my International Association of Women's call. They asked me to present about 5 business hacks for greater self-care. And one of the things that I told them is that you have to give yourself work breaks.
Yes.
That's freedom. Even if it's getting up, walking around the block, even if you have the ability to take a nap midday, even if it means scheduling a vacation when nobody else is taking vacations, that's what freedom is all about. Now, do we all have that same flexibility? No, because we all work for different companies. For those that are privileged to be self employed, you may have a little bit more flexibility than somebody who works a 9 to 5 or work for a Fortune 500 company. But the important thing about freedom and liberty, number one, because y'all know I'm a teacher by heart, I'm going to always teach you something. The number one thing is adjust your mind and tell yourself, I am free because I'm exempt from external controls. Nobody can control this, your mind. You are free because you're in control of that. You're liberated because you have gained the right or the full social and economic opportunities. Guess what? When I didn't like what I was doing on my job anymore, when my purpose and my passion no longer married each other, I had to figure out how to get back on that page. And so, what did I do? I started my own. Now, I work with people every day that's saying, I'm miserable on my job, I'm stuck, I feel like I'm in a dead end place. I meet with those kind of people every day, and I can teach you how. Lasteina Inspired, once you start your Rock Your Rebel, Lasteina Inspired, once you start your own business, if that's what you choose to do, she can help you to look good out there on social media and get your marketing strategy together.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. It's shameless. It's for real shameless. And so we just wanted to pop on here today. We're not going to keep you long. We just wanted to pop on here today and just to talk to you a little bit about how to free yourself from your own thoughts, number one. And if you don't know how to do that, hit me up. My website is going across the bottom of the screen, rubyepowell.com, and you can schedule a free 30-minute discovery session with me. I can help you to determine whether or not I can help you. I believe that I can. You can also go to that website to subscribe to my weekly newsletter. I've been talking all about self-care, how to be free from the stress, worries, and cares of this world. Also on my website, you can go back and read all of the other newsletters that I've posted since the end of February. Is that when we started, Lasteina?
Yeah,
in February. Mm-hmm. You can go back and read all of the newsletters from before today, before this week. And guess what? If you want to hook up with Lasteina, who can help you to create content, Lasteina, tell them how they can reach you.
You can reach me by sending me an email to rockyourrebel@gmail.com.
That's right.
rockyourrebel@gmail.com. It'll be posted in the comment section.
Yes. All right. Rock Your Rebel. Rock Your Rebel meets Dr. Ruby E. Powell and Associates and OasisEmpowermentZone.com. Those are my two websites. You can meet me on either one of those. And until we meet again, we'll be back here in 2 weeks, which is July 8th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Until then, love and blessings, and choose your joy.